Hi everybody, welcome back. I wanted to conclude my little, what was this, a little trilogy of end of year, beginning of year videos with sort of reflection, not really so much a reflection on 2024, but my approach to reading in 2025, what you could expect from this channel. You might have noticed that before my two previous videos, I took a bit of a 2-month break, but before that 2-month break, I was on a streak. I was posting like a video every week, and that was really great for me because it really kind of revived my channel from a year-long, almost 2-year-long funk. But I have a lot on my plate these days, and I really need to focus on finally finishing this master's program that I've been in for so long, that I've taken extensions and leaves of absences, leave of whatever the plural for that is. I really need to finish that, and so for this year I don't think I will be very consistent with videos. I do want to do like a video a week in January just to kind of get my channel back into a little bit of a groove, but after that I might do like a video every other 2 weeks, maybe 2 videos per month, which I think is manageable for me. When it comes to reading, I actually wrapped up most of my TBR, the majority of my TBR books, because I eventually would like to do a unwrapping TBR project kind of thing that a lot of people do on BookTube, but I'm actually going to leave those for perhaps another few months, maybe even another year or so. I wrapped them up about 6 months ago, and I have no intention of opening them up anytime soon. My hope is to ideally at least finish my thesis, not necessarily graduate as yet, but finish like the bulk of my thesis writing, and then I can start that project. And whenever I finish that is when I'm going to start that project. But I actually am planning to kind of start it a little bit earlier with another set of books that I did wrap up, and these are the books on my immediate TBR. So I did 2 books for every month for the first 6 months of the year, so I'm aiming to read 12 books for the first 6 months of the year. And the thing about that is I will be adding some extra books in between because I have to read some books for school. I'll be listening to audiobooks. There are a couple other books that I have laying around that I would like to get to. So hopefully I could still do like 20 books before the end of, well, not before the end of the year, by the midway point of the year. I actually already unwrapped 2 of the books from that box, and these are my 2 books for January. So I have The God of Small Things by Arunati Roy, and then I also have My Friends by Hisham Matar. So I will be trying to read these 2 books in January. If I don't, they'll just roll over into February, and I will not unwrap my February books until I finish these 2. But then I have one rollover from last year, which is this book here. It's called There Are Rivers in the Sky by Elif Shafak, which I am loving so much. I was really hoping to finish it last month, last month, December. I'm still confused as to whether we're in January or December. I was supposed to read this in December, and it was going to make my top 5 list. I would have bumped out one of the books, maybe the graphic novel, on my top 5 list from a couple of days ago to put this on it because I am loving this book so much. But I still have about 100 pages left, so it's probably going to be like my high priority for January. These are the 3 books I'm going to try to complete in January whilst listening to audiobooks and reading for school. Don't know if I will complete all of these. Definitely this one for sure, but these 2 we'll see whenever I get them done. In terms of like what I want my reading to be or what I want my reading to look like this year, I would really like to read more books on Palestine. I did pretty well with that in 2024, but I mostly read fiction, and I really want to get into reading some more non-fiction books because I think that's really important. One of them is Palestinian Walks by Raja Shahida, and this one I actually have in my wrapped up books right there in the box. So that one I'll hopefully get to. I think that's one of my February books, so hopefully I'll get to that next month in February. If I have time, it would be nice to read The 100 Years' War on Palestine. This one is by Rashid Khalidi, but I don't know if I'll be able to get to this one. It may be a little bit too dense for me, especially since I am going to be like writing my thesis and I have to read things of this level of density for my thesis. I don't know if I could commit to reading something like this year, but it's on the radar. Another book that I definitely would like to complete this year is 10 Myths About Israel by Ilan Pappé, which is a book that debunks 10 Zionist myths that justify the existence of Israel and its occupation of Palestine. And I read about 50 pages of this. Yeah, about 50 pages. Lots of notes and annotations and stuff, but I never finished it. So it would be nice to get back to this at some point this year, but again, not sure if I'll have like the energy to do that. I also really want to listen to a lot of audiobooks this year. And what I found works for me is nonfiction audiobooks. Like I could listen to fiction, but something about nonfiction feels more right for audio. I don't know, it feels like you're just listening to like a podcast or something. And so I really like a specific type of nonfiction to listen to. So it's usually either like memoirs or fun fact, not necessarily trivia, but like educational books that are not necessarily like extremely rigorous or dense. So for example, I would not be able to listen to books like these on audio. I feel like I would not like retain anything, and I would feel like I would have to, you know, like stop and take notes and stuff, which is really like tedious when you're listening to a book. Because I tried that in 2024. I was listening to a really big, like dense historical novel on Native American history. I can't remember the name of the book or the author, but I'll put the picture up on screen so you know what it is. Brilliant. I listened to like the first 2 or 3 chapters and it was super informative. But this is the kind of book that I need to like read physically and be able to even like highlight and make notes. So the kinds of books that I want to be reading or listening to, the kind of nonfiction books, like right now I have 2 that I would really like to read. I can't remember the names of them or the authors, but one of them is a book about social media and algorithms that I heard about recently and I find really, really interesting. And another one is a book by, I think it's Kelly Wiley or Weil or something like that, and it is called Off the Edge or something like that, and it is about like flat earth theory and flat earthers, how they've come to be and what they mean in the grander scheme of like conspiracy and all that kind of stuff. So these are the types of books that I could listen to. You know, they're interesting enough and educational enough to have me intrigued and that I could learn from, but they're not something that I'll feel like I need to sit down and take notes and study in a more detailed way. So this is definitely like the route I want to take this year as I'm listening to audiobooks, and I feel like once I do that, I could listen to a lot of books on audio and really enjoy that experience. And then the last category of reading that I would like to do this year, ideally, but I just don't think will be realistic for me. But if I do finish my thesis, this could happen for me maybe in the last like quarter or third of the year. And that's reading a little bit more classics. I don't read a lot of classics and I want to get into reading more classic. And yeah, so let me show you the classics that I would like to maybe crack into this year after I've gotten my thesis out of the way. Pride and Prejudice. This is part of my Penguin drop caps collection, which I do plan to continue collecting for, but I don't really have the time to read these books. But if I do, this one is the next one on the list for me, because I think it is time for me to read Pride and Prejudice, because it's Pride and Prejudice. I also have I also collect the Black Spine classics, and I have Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, which is another classic that I really, really want to read. Like, these are the 2 classics that I just want to say that I've read them and that I have the most interest in as well. I do really want to read Dracula as well, but that's just not going to be that's not going to be realistic for me this year. And then I have these books. I am for sure not going to finish any of these this year, but I would like to start them. When I say start them, I mean I'm going to start this one, because these 3 books are actually the entire complete Arabian Nights, which was translated by Malcolm C. Lyons, or Lyon, I don't know. And this is the first volume here. This is the second volume, and this one is the third. So these are the Penguin Classic collection of the 3 of the whole volume, of the whole Arabian Nights in 3 volumes. I don't know why I can't say that. So yeah, I would like to start volume 1 this year, maybe towards the end of the year. And I don't know how far I'll be able to get into it. Each of these volumes, mind you, are like 800, 900, 1,000 pages long. It's something that's probably going to take me years to get through, but I don't want to like wait for the perfect moment to sit down and just read them all the way through. That doesn't make any sense to me. I think these are books that I just kind of have to like have on the side, read from every now and again, and after a couple of years I'll probably get through the whole thing. Who knows? Finally, I also have to read books for school, like non-fiction, academic books, and lots of articles. I've kind of come to the conclusion that unfortunately I'm just not going to be able to read a lot of those books cover to cover. So many of them I'll be reading selected chapters and stuff from, which is not the best approach. Like, it's good to read things from cover to cover, but I'm on a time limit here and I just need to read what's necessary to get my thesis done, even if it's not the best. So yeah, that is my reflection on what I would like this reading year to look like for me. Not too much pressure to read so many books, to read how much I would like to read and how much is realistic for me, and to just enjoy everything that I read. It would be nice to read like more than I usually read in a year. So 2024 I hit 32 books. It would be nice to maybe hit like 40, 45 books in 2025. I definitely think it is possible for me, but I just have to make sure that I am creating the capacity to do that, that I'm not overwhelming myself with other things, and that I'm ensuring that I'm getting the things that I need to get done first, so that reading doesn't like overtake what I'm doing, but that at the same time it doesn't feel like some type of chore where I'm like having to meet a particular goal. Like, I'm not setting any Goodreads or Storygraph goals this year. I'm just going to read when I feel to read and what I feel to read, and I'm going to listen to audiobooks. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this little chat and this little catch up. I would love to know what your reading plans are for 2025, what approach you're taking, and what are some books that you have on your radar. Are there any books that you've heard of through me that I recommended that you plan on reading this year? Definitely, I would love to know that as well. I'd love if you could leave a comment down below telling me all of that. But if you just want to let me know that you are here, feel free to leave an emoji. It can be like a firework emoji because, you know, the new year and whatnot, or any kind of like confetti celebration type emoji, just to let me know that you were here. Thank you all so much for watching this. I hope you have a lovely day, and until next time, inshallah, keep reading.